Every year, around 300 climbers attempt to summit Mount Everest. In 2020, Harshvardhan Joshi was one of them. But Everest wasn't the only mountain he had to climb. And the hundreds of kilograms of luggage and gear weren't the only things he was carrying with him. This is Harsh's story.
I have been trekking all my life. I've always known that I want to climb Mount Everest someday, but I wasn't sure when because of how expensive it is. Even on the lower side, I would end up spending 40 lakh, which is probably worth more than my family's lifetime worth of savings. And even after that, if something goes wrong, just the thought is scary. I realized I wanted to climb Everest, but in a very specific way for a very specific cause, and hence I named my mission Sangharsh. Because it was not just about the mountain or something else, it was about the struggle which was bigger than the mountain. It was something much bigger for me. Sangharsh is my mission to get from 0 feet above the sea level from a small town near Mumbai to the highest point on earth, 29,035 feet.
Born in a town called Vasai in the Indian state of Maharashtra, Harsh had lived and continues to live a life based on sustainable practices and giving back to nature. It was these principles that turned the physical feat of climbing the world's tallest mountain into a battle for awareness, conservation, sustainability, and growth for all. A battle we still fight, and a battle we hope to win in the coming years.
The cause that I chose to raise awareness of through my climb is of spreading the message of sustainability through one of the most abundantly available sources of energy, solar power. It's well known that high altitude areas, the villages out there, suffer from the shortage of electricity and most of the time have no electricity at all. I've seen it with my own eyes how electricity is just a stepping stone towards life. First comes electricity, then health, and then education. And if climbing Everest could somehow help that cause, then I would do everything in my power to make it happen. But first, I needed to figure out how. Getting to the start of the journey was the first obstacle. So I set up a crowdfunding campaign called Sangharsh, and that's where it all began.
Over 300 million Indians live without access to the most basic essentials. Homes without electricity, water, food, education, sanitation, and livelihoods. That's 25% of our population. Of these, approximately 134 million Indians live below the poverty line. The task of bringing power into these homes over difficult terrains and inaccessible areas is mammoth. But there is light at the end of this tunnel. Individuals like Harsh are ready to champion their cause, and organizations like Project Chirag to champion his.
Rejuvenate your energy. See that bright and bubbly early morning.
During my journey of teaching, I found that the youth have a lot of goodness within. So I found that when they came into social projects, they were able to tap into their own potential. I realized that they were very keen to find out what was the impact of climate change. And that was the real genesis of Project Chirag. So when we put together Project Chirag, our mission was light for all. And Chirag itself means light. Light for all was not about giving just bulbs. It was about the light of education. So with solar power, we are able to give them the facility of e-learning through computers. People who were only farming during the monsoon are now, with the help of these panels, able to get water through the year. women get empowered. They're able to have water that is pulled to their toilets. Light for all really results in dignity for all. It was one of our Chirag youth ambassadors who introduced me to Harsh. He talked about how he was dreaming of climbing the Everest, and summiting the Everest is like an analogy for what I was trying to do with the youth, helping them unleash their own potential. He was very passionate about associating with a larger cause, and the larger cause was solar. So that's when we thought that why don't we help him? So we introduced him to a couple of our partners who gave him advice on these new panels that were foldable and very easy to carry as a backpack.
Even with lightweight panels, I knew I would be carrying more than an average climber. I knew it was one of the most toughest expeditions on Earth, which requires an immense amount of not just physical but also mental conditioning, for which I have been training my whole life.
कितना बॉडी को खुद को स्ट्रेन करना है, कितना, और फिर काय के लिए फाइनली रिजल्ट देखने जाए तो सक्सेस हुआ तो सब चीज़ है, नहीं सक्सेस हुआ तो ये बैक टू स्क्वायर वन। लेकिन वो इतना सब सोच के भी कर रहा है, वो एक तपस्या है। सक्सेस हुआ नहीं हुआ ये अपने हाथ में नहीं है।
COVID cases were rising, flights were getting cancelled, my solar system was not ready, and I was still packing. There's a lot of things which go behind it, like there's 100 kgs of equipment and gear and a lot of people involved. A day before I left for my expedition, my mom suggested let's click a picture. Deep down, I knew why she was asking for it. We didn't talk about it, but we all knew what she meant.
Harsh's first journey would take him to Delhi, and from Delhi to Kathmandu. It was the first step of an expedition his parents knew was a challenging one, but one they knew he had to do. Around 30th March, Harsh made it to Kathmandu with his team of fellow climbers, where they met their expedition organizers, Sherpa guides and liaison officers. From Kathmandu, they flew to the world's most dangerous airport, the Tenzing Hillary Airport in Lukla.
It is shorter than a football field at the cliff of a mountain, so it was naturally very beautiful and quite an adventurous flight.
From Lukla, they made the 8-mile-long hike to Monjo, and then from Monjo to Namche Bazar.
The tough part to base camp is that it's a week-long trek of considerable elevation gain. Fun fact is that ironically, I'm scared of heights. So crossing the suspension bridges on the way to Namche Bazar was quite scary for me. And I'm still trying to figure out how to overcome my fear of heights.
The next day, they went from Namche Bazar to the Everest Museum along few of the villages above Namche village for acclimatization.
It was a great day. We got to see Everest and many other peaks for the first time on this trip. Khumbu means the Everest Valley and Namche Bazar is the marketplace out there. I had an amazing time there. The people are always warm and welcoming, and there's always a reason to celebrate in such a beautiful place. I have seen this guy somewhere. I got to meet people like Nims Dai and American singer Mike Posner, who were also attempting Everest this year. It's always motivating to meet some of the best athletes on earth and hear about their humble journeys. And it was also very motivating for me because their passion is contagious.
On the 12th of April, Harsh and his team reached Everest Base Camp, a place where almost 1,000 people set up temporary homes at the base of the highest peak on Earth each year. These include doctors, cleaners, cooks, insurance agents, porters, rope fixers, and of course Sherpas and climbers. Some make it to the summit, and some don't. but each one definitely leaves their own mark.
Something you realize when you get to base camp is that everyone wants to climb Everest, but not everyone cares about Everest. For us as a crew, the goal was not just to climb a mountain, but to climb it in the most sustainable way possible.
Mount Everest is the world's highest garbage dump, often leaving behind a carbon footprint that is unfathomable. Harsh's crew wanted to leave a different footprint behind, and they had every factor in mind. It wasn't solely about what mountaineers carry. In this case, it's about what they leave behind and how much. Every year, it is estimated that climbers leave behind almost 12,000 kilograms of improperly disposed excreta and fecal matter.
As you start from base camp, 15-20 minutes into the climb, Sagar Mata Pollution Control Committee has a tent set up. They keep a track of everyone who is going up there, and everyone has to get back at least 8 kilograms of garbage, whether you are taking something up there or not. From Sherpas, we should understand the value of minimalism, of simplicity. And although they are doing this job for survival, they still enjoy their job and are grateful to us for contributing to their economy. So one should also try to be as prepared as one possibly can so that one can enjoy the climb much more while enhancing safety and support them much more. Spending time with them was another reminder of how important it was for us to make this climb sustainable. When you reach Everest Base Camp, the washrooms are like just a nylon curtain around a pit in which there's a big blue drum where you attend nature's call. When the drum tank is filled, it's carried down to the village of Gorakshep where there is a biogas plant, because up there it would take too long to decompose in the colder temperatures. So efforts are being made, and it's doubly important that people like us do our bit. No one has the right to pollute the mountains. In terms of electricity, usually teams carry generators with some fossil fuels to generate some electricity a few hours every day. So I thought that at least for myself and for my team, I would carry some solar panels and set an example and also try to create some awareness.
The sustainable climb goes on, and Harsh and his team inch closer and closer to the summit. But the highest peaks often have the steepest slopes and an uncontrollable challenge. A challenge that the whole world faced, arrived in Harsh's path.
We were just waiting for the summit weather window, which we were expecting to arrive earlier this year. Some teams were doing their first acclimatization rotation. Some teams were doing their second rotation. While we were waiting for the Sherpas to open the route and fix ropes till the summit. And since past 1 week, there have been rumors that there have been COVID positive cases at Everest.
It was early one morning when the phone rang, and he said, I haven't told my mother this, but I'm telling you this. I have been detected positive for COVID. And while I was very touched that he chose to share this news with me, because by then I had gone beyond being just a mentor, it unnerved me because you're at an altitude where we know the side effects of COVID. And he took responsibility, isolated himself. He led that week as a loner.
After a period of isolation, Harsh embarked on a test hike with his Sherpa Forte to see if COVID-19 had affected his climbing abilities. With careful monitoring of his oxygen levels and the guidance of his doctors, it was clear that he was ready.
Timing is so out of your control on big mountains like Everest. There are very small weather windows, and they are opportunities you have to take immediately. I was fit, fine, and ready to make the climb, but the mountain isn't always ready.
Just as he was preparing for that, we got to know about Cyclone Tokte, and then we got to know about another short window that was even further shortened because of Cyclone Yas.
Picking up. What you see
It was as if somebody in the universe was testing his resilience or perseverance. One night he called me and he said, we have this 6-hour window when I have to go and I'm going to take it. And I remember all of us here back home sitting and praying for him.
वक्त की है ये बाजी तोड़ न पाए कोई ये लक्ष्य संघर्ष तेरा.
After exactly 54 days, Project Sangharsh had reached its climax. Harsh's determination, small-town grit, and the hopes of his loved ones and supporters had paid off. He had summited Everest.
On reaching the summit, I just felt grateful. It is beautiful up there. Every hour during the summit push, the colors change and it is like a magic show up there. You can see mountains till the end of the horizon on any side you look at. I looked at Tibet, I looked at the Indian Himalayas, and I looked at this beautiful peak a little south of Everest named Makalu, and I was like, this looks good. This looks like the mountain I would want to climb next. We of course made sure that we brought back our tents, oxygen cylinders, and all our trash down from the mountain. The solar panels that I had carried, we gave it away to the tea houses on the trail since they are the ones deprived of most resources.
While his journey to Everest came to an end, sustainable development, specifically renewable energy, remains a mountain of a mission. But Harsh hopes to have inspired many more to venture into this space and move towards a more sustainable future. His challenge is clear.
If I can be more sustainable by going solar in the most hostile environments on Earth, imagine what all of us can do with renewable energy in our urban environments.
I truly believe that the youth have the power to bring about change and to be the change that they want to see in this world. And Harsh is a living example of that. He's a role model. He has an immense following of the youth. And as far as Project Chirag is concerned, he has shared everything he's done with us, along with his followers.
If you want to create an impact, educate yourself about sustainable development, create awareness about causes like Project Chirag, volunteer for these non-profits, or you can also donate at projectchirag.org. I just want to end with a few suggestions or tips of small changes that you can incorporate into your daily lives to begin your journey of Sangharsh to create a sustainable future. First, consume less. Curbing consumption can have a huge impact on the environment. The 3 R's, reduce, reuse, and recycle, get a lot of attention, but the planet could benefit a lot more from the 4th R, that is refuse. Second, please carry your own mug and bag while going outside. Even if the bags provided are sustainable, you can just save a lot of consumption by being mindful. Third, buy local. It is important to think about the path stuff takes just to get to you. All that packaging combined with the fuel consumed for delivery really takes a toll on our environment and increases your carbon footprint. Fourth, conserve water. Conserving water at home is one of the easiest ways to protect the environment. For example, turn off the tap when you brush your teeth. Fix leaky faucets. Collect and use rainwater to water your plants. And shorten your shower by a few minutes. Fifth, use public transport whenever possible. Lastly, we know it all, but the key to improving your environmental behavior is to build your environmental muscle memory. Put your recyclable bags somewhere that you will always remember to bring them with you.
One thing you realize when you set foot on base camp immediately is that everyone wants to climb Everest, but not everyone actually cares about the mountain.